Hi everyone, it's Stu here from 3B and Bob. Today I'm going to be talking a little bit about Death Stranding and the reviews that are kind of really slamming it. For instance, IGN I think only gave it 6.8. And I've also posted some comments with a lot of these reviews, just sort of stating that I'd played the game and finished the game, and that in some regards that I agreed with the review and in many ways didn't. And it's interesting, certainly in terms of the IGN review. Of course, you know a lot of the people on the forum, I guess, on the threads, on the discussions, kind of slam you. So you've got to persevere and hate the game to enjoy the game, or want to play something else to get the best from the game. Some of the comments are the sort of comments that you would expect, pretty much. Because there's almost a feeling of inability on these people's part to be, anything other than sort of black or white or binary. So I'm not saying that you should love the game. Everyone is different. Everyone, there are many times during the game. Just a minute, put Bob down. There were many times during the game that I got so frustrated. And I think what happens with some of these really poor reviews, or the reviews that are giving it a poor score, is that those frustrations become a core part of their review. For instance, if you look at the IGN review, um, there's an awful lot of frustrations in the things he's saying, and in fact, in many ways, I agree with what he's saying. Yeah, the A to B fetch questy thing is a pain in the ass, and it is a glorified fetchy questy thing. But the thing that goes on between that, and how that makes you feel in between going from point A to point B, is very different, and is done very well. The mechanics in terms of the walking mechanic and how that all works and seats you in the environment within that you're within works incredibly well, but it can also be incredibly frustrating at first because it's new, it's difficult. It adds a reality to it. There are weight limits, there are balance limits, there are things that are going to throw you off. The environment is going to trip you up, literally. There are other things I found that just really pissed me off. And I agree again with IGN, is the fact that the inventory management is a nightmare. It's just a really kind of clunky inventory management system that has been developed. And I also found the map kind of confusing as well. I couldn't get rid of a lot of the noise that was there, and the fact that you could tilt the map to get an idea of the terrain was really clunky. It was using the controller, and you would manually tilt it to get a sort of an idea of the sort of terrain, but it was so limited, and it wouldn't stay there where you wanted it, that you couldn't really get an idea of that terrain. That could have been done an awful lot better. Having said that, though, I think, and I completely agree with a lot of these reviews in terms of their frustrations and what they found, is that I feel that they've allowed that to take over from what is an incredible story being told. And I don't believe that would, those sort of relatively minor frustrations overall, 60-hour plus story, would take away from an incredible story, from a really great story. And in some regards, I kind of understand why those elements are thrown in. Certainly the walking mechanic and how that had to be the way it is, I understand that fully. Because were it anything else, it would simply be just this character floating along without any problems in the terrain, getting from point A to point B. And that's what an awful lot of people are assuming this game is, that you just, regardless of the terrain, like any other game, it doesn't matter what the environment is, you just sort of wander across it and your character does the work for you. Whereas here you have to do the work to get your character from point A to point B because of the terrain is getting in his way, and it's a real challenge, even just like it would be for us normally. And that's the thing that Kojima has managed to bring to the game, that's they've made it different. But a lot of people have very fixed views of what that is, and assumptions are being made, unfortunately. So I do agree wholeheartedly with IGN's review, but I don't agree with their final score or a lot of the sort of really damning reviews. And I think, again, that's where this game isn't for everyone. When I posted some comments on the IGN review, people were saying, so you have to sort of feel like you want to play a different game to enjoy this game, because I said, there were times where I felt, fuck it, I want to play something else. And it does get like that sometimes, but there's also incredible points of real reward in the game as well. So it's amazing to me to get the real hatred that's coming at me when I've posted some comments about being, positive about the game. The hatred that comes back, and it's not surprising, it's from the discussion threads on IGN, because they can be quite toxic on there. Is that they're predominantly, mostly, from people that have never actually played the game. So they have these fixed set of views on what it is, and therefore they won't play it. Which is a real shame, which is why I've said before, I really feel there should be a demo of the game to allow them to get a good idea of what it is. But I still actually, do agree with Tristan Ogilvy's review on IGN. But I think he's being quite unfair in terms of he doesn't actually go on about the story or how that drags you in or how those mechanics actually draw you into the game or how you become rooted within it and how they work as a whole. And I think it's one of those games that you're really going to have to try and work with and persevere with to get the best out of it, rather than, and this is from someone that doesn't have a lot of patience with games. I am not the sort of person that would, I don't have an awful lot of time to invest in a game in such a way that I have to really persevere to make it work for me. There were times where I thought, I can't do this. I can't, I don't want a game that's going to be hard work. But you get rewarded for that hard work. And also, before I bought the game, there are so many times I must have pre-ordered it and cancelled it, because I would see the teaser trailers and all that stuff coming out, and you'd sort of think, and I would get that assumption that it's just, walking from point A to point B. That's going to be really dull. And it's only when you try it, when you get used to it, when you work with it, that you become part of it. And it's easy to have those assumptions. So I'm really pleased I actually got the game. I bit the bullet and got it. And I still really think people should give it a shot. I think a lot of people probably will when it goes on sort of sale, maybe sometime later next year. It could be a good game to buy. And perhaps, maybe, Kojima might do an upgraded version for the PlayStation 5. Who knows? So those are my thoughts. I won't go on about Death Stranding any more than what I already have. I think I've said plenty about it, but I think a lot of the comments are unfair because they are from people that have never actually played the game and have an assumption of what it is. And then there are the reviewers who have got caught up in the frustration of that game and then let that take over from the story, or whether they actually completed the game to actually fully understand the story, because it's one of those games you really have to complete the game to get a real feel for the story and get an understanding of it. And that's where it becomes there's a real point at the very end that you have to play to get the whole story, to get a real feel for it. And I'm not too sure many people are going to get there. So anyway, rambling over. I've said plenty about Death Stranding now. No more, nothing, zero, zilch, de nada. I'm not going to say any more. Other than the fact that you should subscribe, that you should give me a thumbs up, and you should click the bell, which should be somewhere around about here. So click the bell, give me a thumbs up, subscribe. Other videos coming in the week. Subscribe, click the bell, thumbs up. You know what to do. See you again very soon. Take care. Bye-bye.